Welcome to my kitchen. I'm always asked by friends and family how to make the fermented foods that I very often serve here at our house in Queensland. And so I thought, well, what better way to explain it to them than making a little video with the help of my very able young assistants, our youngest daughter Dee. So, first of all, how I came to make vegetables, fermented vegetables, was that I bought this book, Wild Fermentation by Sandor Katz. I really suggest either you get it from the library or you buy it. It's really, really good. It gives you a lot of really good information. Or Baby Boomer Diet by Donna Gates, and she really goes into it, how good fermented food is to support your immune system, for detoxifying, and like a probiotic for your family. So that's really interesting for a family on a budget. If you're on a budget, this is what you need to do in order to safeguard your health. And it is really very easy to do. So let's get cracking. What do we need? A very sharp knife, a chopping board, a mixing bowl, a rolling pin, because we will be using this rolling pin to compact the vegetables, in this case a cabbage, into a preserving jar. Now the preserving jar you can get either in a charity shop or in a kitchen shop. They're quite inexpensive. You will also need some good quality soap, salt, not soap, and you will need some herbs, either fresh herbs from the garden, so experiment with the herbs and see which ones you like best. We really like the cumin, so I put cumin into it today. Also, Donna Gates always says you have to have a culture starter, but they're quite expensive. So again, if you're on a budget, forget about that. If you are not on a budget either, Organic 2012 from New Firm, that's one of the best probiotics here produced in Australia. So what I do is I will take 2 capsules and I will just put them in with the cabbage. So now let's get started. You can see how quickly we can do this because it is really efficient. So what we first do is we will cut out the central part, which is the hard part. That's what you don't want to use. Then you will take the top 2 leaves off. I take them off because I want to use them like a little hat to sit on top of the fermented vegetables when they're actually fermenting. So if there's any mold growing on top of it by any chance, I can just lift them out without compromising the rest of the fermented vegetables. What you then do is you cut the cabbage in half, and then if you wanted you could cut it again in a quarter. And then what you do is you just very carefully start cutting. Now I suggest, if you have young children, involve them in making it, because in my experience, if you create a relationship between the food and your children, they are most likely to eat it. So if they can be helping you, not necessarily with the cutting, but then with mixing in the herbs, do involve them, because they're much more likely to try something new and something that tastes very different to maybe what they're used to. So get them involved, get them in the kitchen, help you out. You may have a little bit more mess at the end, but who cares? You will have healthy kids, and that's what we all want. So you just continue cutting. We only have this half to go, and then we'll be done. There we are. You see how quickly that goes? So you just cut it up, and then when you have now young kids, get them to move it around and mix it up nicely. So don't leave sort of big bits in it like this, just try and separate them. Once you've done that, there we go. Once you've done that, then you will start adding the various different bits. Now for a bowl this size, i.e. half a cabbage, I will put 2 tablespoons of very good salt. In this case it's Australian salt. So 2 really heaped tablespoonfuls. There we go. Then again, get the kids to really mix it up. And be aware that sometimes then a lot of the salt goes to the bottom of the bowl. So make sure that as you pack it, that you get some of that salt into there as well. Now in this case, we love cumin, and you can put as much in as you want according to your taste. Now in my case here, I will put 3 full spoons because we really like the taste of cumin, and cumin is really extremely healthy for you. Now if you wanted to, you could put some probiotic in it. So in my case, I will take 2 probiotics capsules and just drop them in there, like so. That's all you need. But that's not necessary. If you're a budget, you can do that very easily without it, and it'll ferment just as well. So now you've mixed it nicely. What you then do is, you take the glass jar and you start filling it. So again, if you have young kids, get them to put it in because it's great fun. And make sure always that you go to the bottom of the bowl to pick up the salt and the cumin that has fallen underneath, so that it all gets evenly distributed. Then what you do is, you don't want any air pockets in it. So what you do is, you take this rolling pin and you start smashing the cabbage down. Now this is the part when you have young kids, they don't like that. Just be careful that it doesn't fly off the counter. So you do that. So you see, it compacts very well. You just keep on packing it. Again, making sure that you don't miss the bottom. Salt and the cumin that has accumulated at the bottom of this bowl. Just every once in a while, go to the bottom and pick up a whole lot of salt and cumin. And again, put it in, and off you go. Again, compacting it very well. This is the last bit. There we go. Now, it's beautifully compacted. Most of the air pockets are out. Then the next thing what you need to do is you need to get some fresh, pure water. I suggest reverse osmosis if you don't put it through a Brita filter. And then you just pour it into the glass jar until all the vegetables are covered, right up to the very top. So you see it's bubbling down very nicely. And then the reason why we kept these ones again was to create this hat effect. So what you do is you push this in here, like so. And you have this little hat sitting on top. And you're done. That is it. So then what you do is, you leave the top open, you put it somewhere on a kitchen bench, and you put a cloth over it, and you leave it for 3 to 4 days, depending on the temperature in your house. And as you watch it, whenever, every day, you might have a quick look at it, you will see little bubbles rising, and that means that it's fermenting. And after 3 and 4 days, it has fermented enough. You then will close the lid, and you will put it in the fridge and start eating about 2 tablespoons per meal. If you can only manage 1 a day, that's great. But if you can do it twice a day, you will feel fantastic with it, because again, do remember, it is great because it's pre-digested already, so it's fantastically easy for your system to digest, and it gives you an absolute punch with nutrients. So, and you can try and do it with various different vegetables. So if you have a gluttony of vegetables in the summer, ferment them. Get them fermented and then eat them over the winter time. But otherwise, happy eating. And if you want to know more about us, go to our website and maybe come to one of our seminars to learn how to be happy, healthy and sexy. Take care.